So today's class, we're going to talk about the faculty of knowledge. Now, in the last two classes, we have focused on the superconsciousness, and we have focused on the faculty of light, which is the soul, and the superconsciousness is the cradle of the soul. So we've talked a great deal about the faculty of light and the soul itself. And then last week, we talked about the infinite intelligence, which is embodied within the soul. And I think we went into some fair detail, and I hope it was a simpler lesson like today will be. Now, for those of you who would like to recap, you can go back into the Meditation Masterclass 9, and there's a diagram of the superconsciousness and its 10 circle faculties, and refresh your memories. I'm also pleased to advise you that a video on Class 8, which was about relinquishing control in meditation, is ready. And also there's one interview that I did with Tosin, and it is on the power of forgiveness, which I think you'll actually quite enjoy because it explores forgiveness in a very interesting way. And then I think before the week is out, Meditation Masterclass 9, which is the first one on the superconsciousness and its 10 faculties, that should also be up. Watch that class nice and slow, because that's a foundation class. And when you feel, okay, you've taken in enough and you want to break, stop, and then go back to it. So today we're going to talk about knowledge facility. And I'd like to start by sharing a story of my family, which is going to provide us a basis of looking at the lessons of superconsciousness. Now, my grandfather was born in India, and then he left India when he was very young, maybe about 15 or 16, with my grandmother. They'd just been married very young, and although his father was well settled, he was the prodigal son who decided he was going to Africa to seek his fortunes. So he went to Africa, to Kenya, and that's where our branch of the family was established. Now, my grandfather had a brother, and these two were extremely close. But ever since my grandfather left, he never got to see his brother again. Now, remember, in those days, you couldn't get on a plane and fly. You'd get on a boat, and it would take you weeks before you get to where you have to get to. So they didn't see each other, and then 40 years later, my grandfather insisted he wanted to catch up and meet his brother because he felt his life was short and was coming closer to the end. And so even though the doctors did not recommend he fly, we let him go because this was his wish. And he arrived, this was in Pakistan. The two brothers were planning to meet in Pakistan. So my granduncle came from one direction, my grandfather came from another, and they arrived. But my grandfather arrived the day before his brother. And so sadly, that night he passed away. And when his brother arrived the next day, anxious to see his brother after 40 years, my grandfather was no more. He had met his creator. He was in the light. And my granduncle made a promise that since I did not get to know you, I'm going to spend the rest of my days of my life with your children, and I will get to know you through your children. So even though he had many children, families, he left them all, came to Kenya, and lived with our side of the family. My granduncle was also a very spiritually advanced man, and I had heard about him from various people that he had done great things in his life, and he was a really advanced soul. And so the first time I met him was in 1984 at the wedding of my cousin's sister. And while I was there, someone said to me, "Would you like to meet your granduncle?" He was 100 years old then. And I said, "I would love to." And so they took me, and he was sitting quietly surrounded by young people who were making jokes and lively time. Karima was with me. And they took me to him, and he was quite healthy. And when they said to him that I was his grandnephew, and as soon as we made eye contact, he stood up and he gave me the strongest hug, which lasted maybe 6 to 7 minutes. And it was like we were reunited somehow. And Karima asked me after that, she said, "Are you sure you met your granduncle for the first time today?" And I said, "Yes." But we had a connection. And then, and he had a very radiant face, very peaceful demeanor, and I was really honored to connect with him because my grandfather had moved on. So, in fact, the first time I visited India, which was in 1987, the reception I got from people who knew that I was his grandnephew was incredible, and it spoke volumes about this man. And luckily, after we met, I saw him at least 4 or 5 times before he passed away at the age of 104. And each time I went to Kenya, I always made it a point to visit with him. And he shared some of his wisdom and knowledge with me. And to be honest, he was way ahead of where I was. So some of the things he was saying, which make perfect sense to me today, I couldn't grasp then. Because I, at the time, was living in my mind. This was before my accident of 1987, and before I went through my own change. And so everything I was hearing was fine, but I wasn't grasping it all until I experienced things for myself. So here's this 100-year-old man telling me about the world of the late 1800s, early 1900s. We're talking about 55 to 60 years before my birth. And he said that life was very difficult when he was a young man. Things were tough. The things he shared with me about this world pose an interesting contrast with today's knowledge-based society. Now, what did he share with me? He said in his days, everything took an immensely long time to happen. Travel usually lasted months. Everything happened at a snail's pace. Time had little value because everyone mostly stayed in the same place doing simple daily chores in the farms or trading activities, which just took them from village to village at maximum. So never really ventured out. And families lived together as extended families. Children were raised by the family and the community. And people knew very little about knowledge and its value. Intellectual search and engagement was minimal, and mostly people were illiterate, according to him. Yet their faith in God, the Creator, was very strong. However, their faith was based on a blind set of beliefs without questions. And questioning in his days was taboo. In fact, questioning even when I was growing up in the 60s used to get me into trouble because a lot of times I would ask or question the basis of our beliefs in a healthy way. But it was a different world in terms of intellectual inquiry. Today, we're all encouraged to ask questions because only when you ask questions can you discover. So, despite that, according to my granduncle, their faith in the Creator formed the cornerstone of their lives. Everyone spent 2 hours a day in prayer, and meditation was practiced in the night for 3+ hours, which is long. And this was something everybody practiced. And my granduncle, he was blessed, and he grew a great deal in his spiritual journey at a very young age. And he recognized the meaning and value of knowledge, something which was rare in his society. And he said, as you grow in knowledge, you come closer to the Creator. And I didn't understand his words at the time. His definition of knowledge was very different to mine. What was his definition? His perspective was not at all analytical as ours is today. Today we are very analytical. I mean, When we talk about superconsciousness, I have diagrams, and we go into it with some depth that follows logic. In his days, there was nothing like it. He said that the more knowledge you have, the closer you are to the Creator. That was his definition. He also said things like, the true value of a man comes from his knowledge. Again, I didn't have a clue then what he meant, because to me, you went to school, you went to university, you got educated, you had knowledge. I didn't quite understand this concept of knowledge being light. And I asked him what he meant by knowledge. And he simply said, in inverted commas, a fuller understanding of everything you seek about your Creator. A fuller understanding of everything you seek about your Creator. And he was talking to me in Gujarati, and I could understand Gujarati very well. But I still couldn't relate that with knowledge. So to him, knowledge didn't have a factual basis like it did to me. It was very fluid, like water. And I was conditioned to think of facts, figures, statistics, data. And his point of reference was how he experienced his way into the river of knowledge, very fluid, flowing into the river of knowledge. It was quite fascinating to hear him speak. And to him, knowledge boiled down to a state of being where all the core principles of life, as taught in the scriptures, were fully understood. So that was his view of knowledge. Now, why am I sharing this with you today? Because even with all the education we have been blessed with and access to instantaneous information, the journey into the faculty of knowledge in our superconscious mind remains the same. It follows universal principles, regardless of when seekers reached out to their higher self, whether it was in the 1800s, 1900s, or today. And my granduncle did not perceive superconsciousness the way I do now, because our knowledge has evolved. And how it is understood and expressed has evolved. But the principles are still the same, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you today. So now let's revisit the cycle of life, which I have shared with you before, which is that the origin or the Creator is light. Light brings life. Life brings experience. Experience brings knowledge. And knowledge is light. And that's the full cycle. Now, let us look at how experience becomes knowledge, because we've all heard this universal statement that experience brings knowledge. But today, let's try and understand how it brings knowledge. How do we dig into our experiences to derive knowledge? And let's learn about this through the story of Kumar. He's an Indian businessman who started his business from scratch and built it into something very impressive. Now, Kumar is a very kind and sensitive person, and always places the feelings of others ahead of his own. He finds that one particular type of experience keeps repeating itself in his life. Everyone he tries to help develop and better their quality of life ultimately ends up becoming his adversary. And this takes him through a series of painful experiences. Why are they becoming his enemy? And he's tried it so hard for them. His friends who joined his company also became adversaries. Others he brought on board also became adversaries. And each time he parted company with an adversary, a new person would appear to teach him the same lesson again. Now, one day he was feeling very dejected and kept asking himself, why was all this happening to him? And he visited the temple. And there was an old man with a long white beard sitting on the steps that went to the temple. And he looked like a sage. And Kumar greeted him with a namaste. And to his astonishment, the sage said, "Son, you are in the midst of an unending cycle that keeps hurting you. And Kumar was stunned by this revelation. So he seats himself next to the sage and asks for an explanation. And the sage makes a series of observations about Kumar. Number one, he says, you are a very sensitive person and you are very sensitive about what people think of you. Yes, Kumar replied. He said, you want everyone to like you. Yes, Kumar agreed. You never try to hurt anyone's feelings at home or at work. Once again, this was true. The sage said, at work, you let people get away with abusing your courtesy, and you accept a lot of inefficiencies as you try to protect them. Kumar was amazed at this observation. Right again, he replied. The sage said, most people around you take you for granted, knowing that you are too kind to do anything to disadvantage them. Right again. So, and when you finally part company with these people, they become bitter enemies. And even your friends today are your enemies. They feel betrayed by you, like you have wronged them. Kumar sadly added, he says, I think I am born in this world in the wrong time, in the wrong era. I should have been born well before this dark and negative era. If you look at eras according to the Gita, there was an era of Satya Yuga, which is when everything was pious and pure and truth had value. And so he was saying that the way he saw life, he should have been born in Satya Yuga instead of this Yuga, which is what they call Kal Yuga. And the sage shook his head and said, no. You are born at the correct time. And you are the maker of your problems. You are the one that shapes people around you. So instead of dismissing all the lessons on the basis that you were born in the wrong time, to make yourself good, why don't you try and find out what lies at the roots of these lessons? After all, that's why you're in this world, aren't you? To learn. And Kumar was shocked to learn that he was actually the cause of everything. So he asks the sage, can you enlighten me about these roots you talk about? And the sage said, when you are very sensitive about what people think of you and desperately want to be liked, you are demanding constant approval from them. And they give it to you. But after they give it to you, now they feel like you owe them something in return. And this makes them entitled. But you made them entitled because you sought their constant approval and they gave it to you. So now you owe them something. They are entitled. Now they have expectations from you. Expectations you consider totally unreasonable, but you planted those expectations. You project weakness because of your need to be liked. Now, what you consider your compassionate side is actually being driven by your need to be liked. You're not as compassionate as you think you are. All that is coming from your need to be liked. So people take you for granted, and they walk all over you, and you hate it, but you put up with it. You think you're protecting them, but no, you are protecting yourself from losing their approval. Finally, you're forced to let such people go from your business because their demands become more and more unreasonable. They become your enemies and drag you to court, despite having taken so much from you. But they believe they are justified because you owe them something. So learn from this repeating cycle, son. Love and like yourself first, and then love your Creator above that, and you will not need anyone's approval. You will have it all, and that is true knowledge. This is something the Creator has very kindly kept trying to teach you because you came into this world with this aspect of your soul seeking resolution. So all these events have been happening, but you were just not learning. You kept thinking of yourself as the good guy and everyone as the bad guys, but you created this. And Kumar was completely dumbfounded that, the sage was right and he couldn't argue. Then the sage said, my dear son, there's another lesson the Creator has been trying to teach you too. And he said, you are way too open about your wealth and unnecessarily generous towards everyone. You sow seeds of envy in people. And this was news to Kumar. He said, you let everyone into your home and share your comforts and well-being with your guests. Again, you are continually sowing seeds of envy. What makes you do this? Ask yourself, why are you doing this? He said, in truth, you are actually seeking their praise and gratitude. You thrive on praise and gratitude, and that makes you feel good. Therefore, you need to rise above this need, and instead of seeker of gratitude from others, become the giver of gratitude. Be generous in a hidden way. That is true giving. And preserve the sanctity of your home, for heaven's sake, from the force of evil, of envy. It ruins everything. And once you're able to rise above your need for praise and gratitude and become a giver of it, then you have derived knowledge from all these experiences. There's a verse in the scriptures which says, all praise is due to the Creator of all. All praise is due to the Creator of all. What does this mean? The sage asks him. Is he like you, waiting to be praised? Dig deeper into this little phrase, these words, because you hear it all the time. What the scriptures are saying is the Creator is present in all His creation. He is present in me, He is present in you, He is present in everyone you meet. Therefore, if you praise me or you praise them, you have praised your Creator. That's what Namaste means, my son. The God in me bows to the God in you. Those few words of all praise is due to the Creator is an ultimate source of humility. So, this is another big lesson you have failed to learn. And if you become and live all the values that the scriptures and enlightened teachings teach, you have derived knowledge of a very high order, because all these things are in the scriptures. Learn from them, live it and internalize it, and they have become knowledge. And the resolution your soul is seeking has been achieved. After all these experiences and circles of pain you have suffered, doesn't the knowledge gained from them boil down to very simple universal principles? Number one, love yourself and love your Creator, and love your Creator above everything. And two, be generous and help those in need without seeking anything from them, most of all their gratitude. Let your left hand not know what your right hand does. Be like the cloud that showers its rain and fertilizes the earth and remains unknown. And praise all God's creation always, for all praise is due to Him, your Creator. Give praise without expecting it in return. And he said, you see, son, the knowledge you gain from these experiences is very simple. These are just 3 simple principles. And the best part is that the scriptures have already revealed these principles. But we have to live life, gain experience, derive knowledge from our experiences, and then that knowledge becomes light. But that is the knowledge which you have already read in the scriptures. It may have been here, but not here. Life puts it here, if you care to dig into the roots of your experiences. So, this is how experience brings knowledge. Learn from each experience. Question it deeply. and uncover the knowledge that is hidden in its roots. That's why you have been given this gift of life, the sage says. And now that you have learned from these experiences, you will change from within. You will become a man of greater knowledge, and you will think and act differently because of this knowledge. And all these cycles of repeated pain will stop, and new lessons will begin to come, so that you may discover more hidden knowledge. Keep reading the scriptures and enlightened literature, because what lies at the roots of your experiences is already revealed there. So use the scriptures and teachings of the enlightened ones to help you in your contemplations as you seek the knowledge that awaits you. Kumar was totally dumbfounded. I mean, all his endless circles of disappointment and hurt were indeed his own creation. It was hard to accept, but he had to create them, to learn from them, and now he realized. So let me ask you, so it took the sage to show him the universal principles he was supposed to grasp. So let me ask you, who is the sage here, my dear friends? It is your knowledge faculty. Your knowledge faculty is the sage. When you engage with your knowledge faculty, it will help you dig into the roots of your experiences. You've got to start with a lot of humility, because none of us likes discovering what Kumar just discovered. But when you dig deep and you find that knowledge, amazing, then it becomes light. So this is the knowledge faculty. Now, when my grand uncle was talking about knowledge being an understanding, this is what he meant in his simple words. And I didn't get it until I experienced it for myself. And this holds true for everyone here today in this webinar. I pray that you do experience how knowledge is discovered in your day-to-day events by seeking out the roots of your experiences. So now, when we have experiences and don't stop and reflect and contemplate them, how are we going to find the roots? And when someone says, reflect on your experience, a lot of people say, how? Well, I've just shown you how, through the story of Kumar. And let me make it a little more easy for you. I'm going to share one more example. And remember, knowledge is not created by us. It is only discovered. So be humble when you discover the gifts of your knowledge faculty. As you start living in it and living with it, you will be so glad you were here today, because it's there for all of us to take advantage of and to utilize and to harness and to grow in our own individual journeys. And so I pray that with the grace of the Creator, you may find a great deal of growth as a being, materially and spiritually, so that you may begin to live an enlightened life with this knowledge. Now let's look at another life experience like Kumar, so you can begin to see one more example of how to identify the roots from other experiences, which some of you may relate to. Let's dig into these experiences and seek out the knowledge that's hidden in them. It's fun. So coming back to Kumar, he has a daughter, and her name is Reena, who is the apple of his eye. Beautiful girl. But Reena is living repeated cycles of disappointment and hurt in her love life. Her relationships continue to fail over and over again. And she has now become so scared of entering into any relationship that she has built walls around her. She has grown to hate men because she feels abused and betrayed by each and every one of them. So Kumar brings her to the temple one day, and the sage, who knew already from within that Kumar was going to come with his daughter, was sitting at the steps waiting for them. Kumar is delighted to see the sage again, because the sage has helped change his life. And Reena has heard so much about the sage that she too is excited to meet him. And the sage asks both of them, have you ever wondered why I sit on the steps of the temple rather than going inside? And the two of them had no answer, because this man was an advanced soul. He belonged in the temple. What was he doing sitting on the steps outside? The sage said, "My purpose is to show whoever comes to me the true way to discovery of knowledge and light, so they can enter the temple fully prepared and deserving of its sacred presence." What a beautiful statement. He says, "My purpose is to show whoever comes to me the true way to discovery of knowledge and light, so that they can enter the temple fully prepared and deserving of its sacred presence." What a beautiful statement, my friends, to describe our knowledge faculty. And we have all been blessed with it. So our knowledge faculty resides on the staircase to our soul, helping each one of us become worthy of ultimate discovery. So now Rina relates her repeated disappointments in love, and the sage patiently listens. And when she had finished telling him everything, and poor girl had broken down into tears by then, he then surmises from everything he's heard, and he says, "My dear, every relationship you enter starts beautifully, and it makes you so happy. Then you begin to feel let down when your partner receives attention from other people, especially women, and that hurts you. You cannot hide your emotions. Then you begin to lash out at him and become suspicious of everything he says, does, and everywhere he goes. You stop trusting him. You start to fight with him all the time until he's had enough and leaves." Rina nodded yes to every answer. She's amazed how this sage could have tapped into her private and innermost feelings so perfectly. Faculty of knowledge can. The sage continued, "One of the roots of these experiences is the fact that you are deeply insecure from within. You do not trust yourself, hence you cannot trust others, especially those who give your heart to, for it is the most precious part of you. You fear loss, and this makes you cling tightly to the one you love, suffocating him and taking away his freedom. When he tries to live his life, constantly under your watchful eye, nothing he does can make you trust him, and so you fight, and the relationship reaches an end. The next set of relationships end up exactly the same way. Here is the knowledge I see, my dear, hidden in the roots of your experiences. It is completely universal and appears in the scriptures and teachings of the enlightened ones. Number one, trust yourself and trust your Creator. What is yours will always be yours, and what is not never will. None can take away from you what is yours, and none can give you what is not supposed to be yours, no matter how hard you try. This is a fact. None can take away from you what is truly yours, and none can give to you what is not supposed to be yours. The parable of the chair, which we heard last week, says the Creator knows all that may appear before you, after you, and behind you. You know nothing, and He knows it all. So trust in Him, and trust in that His light resides in you, and therefore love yourself and love Him, and all your insecurities and fears will be dispelled. So trust in Him and trust His light that resides in you, and love yourself and love Him, and all your insecurities will be dispelled. These 4 edicts are the knowledge that is hidden in the roots of your endless disappointments. And the sage continued, there is more hidden knowledge at the roots of your disappointing experiences. Now let's look at a different dimension, the different knowledge that also resides at the roots, because we are not done yet. He said, you cannot accept your loved one as he is. You want to mold him to fit what you like. You take away his freedom by doing that. And why not let him be the way he was when you both fell in love? Isn't that what made you fall in love with him in the first place? What gives you the right to change him? You are so deeply self-centered. You only see yourself, what you like and what you want, and how everything should be to make you feel good. You cannot see through the eyes of the one you love or respect how he feels. Hence, you try to constantly exercise control over him, over the relationship. You try to control everything in the relationship to fit your little self-center. My dear, what a sorry place to live in, my dear child. So the roots of these experiences reveal, number one, where's the knowledge? That the Creator is oneness, and you are an integral part of the oneness. Therefore, you are Him, He is you, and together you are everything. This is the knowledge which takes you off your self-center and into the oneness. Because as long as you live in your self-center, you can never engage with oneness. And once you engage with oneness, you will automatically begin to see through the eyes of the one you love and let go of all control. Control is an illusion. You control nothing. You do not even control the very next breath, for it too will come by the will of your Creator. So let go of all control. Embrace oneness and see yourself in all creation, especially the one you love. This sows seeds of pure harmony. Rina was in tears. Everything the sage had said had touched her at the core. He was spot on correct. And the sage says, so remember, my dear, your knowledge from this very hurtful part of your life is basic and simple. Number one, trust yourself and trust in your Creator. Number two, love yourself and love your Creator. Number three, you are oneness. So I am you, you are me, and together we are everything. These simple three states of universal truth are in all the enlightened literature. But you have to live your life to learn from it in order to become the knowledge, to understand that knowledge and become it. So from now, with this knowledge, you will grow immensely and change and become a fountain of love and harmony, through which your love will always blossom and endure. What a beautiful lesson from the sage, the knowledge faculty. So I hope these stories will help you in seeking the roots of your experiences and hence deriving knowledge from them. There's a lovely meditation on Rina's experience that I would like to share with you if you allow me. So it's very short, but sit back and relax. I just want you to catch a glimpse of what this is. So sit back and relax and breathe freely. Breathe completely freely. And I'd like you to imagine that you're in your garden, in the courtyard of your home. And on the table, there is a beautiful golden cage. And in the cage, a beautiful white dove, a precious, beautiful bird in the cage. It is your bird. Take a moment and look at the cage. Look at the dove. It has been with you in your garden. But today you're going to take a much closer look at this dove. And imagine that this dove is the person you love very dearly. A person you just cannot let go, whoever it is. So imagine that that person is this dove, and this dove is in the golden cage. But something in you says that keeping it in this cage is not fair. Let it free, let it go. And so reluctantly, you open the door of the cage, and the dove sticks its head out, looks at you, and starts to fly, and you say, "Go in peace, I let you go." Even though you love him or her so much, you let it go. And this white dove flies, flapping its wings slowly, and starts to disappear. The sky is blue, and you can see this white bird in the distance. And slowly, slowly, it just disappears into the horizon. And this bird, the one you love, you've set it free, and you've let it go, and it is gone. And you are sad, but you let it go, and you did what was right. And as you look into the horizon with all your love and all your anticipation, a little while later, you see the bird appear in the horizon, flying back towards you. And as it comes closer and closer, you see it is your dove, it is your white bird, and you are elated. It's the one you love has come back to you. And the bird sits on the palm of your hands. It doesn't go back in the cage because you've set it free, but it sits on the palm of your hands. And you're so happy. The one you love has come back to you. Not because you want him to come back or her. It's because they want to come back to you. Because they are truly yours. And what is truly yours will always be yours. So take a look at the bird, take a look at the cage, and you are never going to put this bird in the cage anymore, because it will be with you wherever you are, all your life. It will never leave you, because it wants it so, not because you clung so tight to it that you stuck it in the most beautiful golden cage. So look at the cage, look at the bird, and celebrate the fact that the one you love, after setting him or her free, has come back to you, because he or she is truly yours. And you may open your eyes. That's a special, short meditation of letting go. Now, think of this bird. It came back to you. But there we are also sometimes in life, we cling to people who are not ours, but we force them to stay in our space. We encage them. And when you open that cage and the bird flies, it doesn't come back. And yes, you may be heartbroken, but it's good for you to know today that that never was yours, so that you can make room for what is yours waiting to come to you, rather than clinging to what never was yours. So when you let go, if that bird comes back to you, then that loved one is truly yours. And if it doesn't, it never was. But you know that that kind of relationship where you cling and engage the ones you love ultimately comes to an end. Not now, in the future, but those relationships do not work. The ones where people are there because they want to be there, no one is forced into it, no one's clinging to each other, they both have their freedom, that harmony is forever. It stays. And this is how soulmates be together in freedom. I thought I'd share that little meditation with you. I really like it. Now, let's talk a bit about how does knowledge become light. And you've already learned from the story of Kumar and Reena So let's take this one final step further. What makes knowledge become light? It is the realization of the presence of the Creator everywhere and in everything and in every root of the knowledge you discover. This comes from living in oneness, thinking as oneness, and contemplating experiences that lead to a dimension of the Creator. Anything that leads through your contemplation that ultimately leads back to your Creator, that's knowledge, that is light. And so again, if you come back to and we covered this in Masterclass 4, but if we come back to the universal statement which says the origin is light, light brings life, life brings experience, experience brings knowledge, and knowledge is light. So you are the ray of the sun. When you start life, you're not as bright as your source. Therefore, I can tell you apart. But through your life, as you gain more and more knowledge, like this, you become brighter and brighter until no one can tell you apart from your source. And that is the completion of your journey. So if we look at our understanding of experiences, they come to us as gifts every day. People we meet, events we experience, beauties, darkness, everything we experience and more. Those are experiences, those are gifts. They don't have to be good always. And what are we seeking from these experiences? To discover the knowledge that is hidden at their roots. So when you sit to contemplate your experiences, go to the roots. And when we discover this hidden knowledge, and we recognize that it leads us back to the Creator, then this knowledge becomes light. So knowledge is integrally connected and linked with the Creator. And that's what my granduncle was trying to say to me in his simple vocabulary so many years ago, where he used the word understanding the Creator. This is what understanding the Creator meant to him. And the stories I've shared to you is what they will mean to you. And as you contemplate deeper, you will have your own understanding. And in addition, all our experiences in life ultimately lead us to recognizing our place in the oneness. And this is how we recognize the Creator everywhere. That is true knowledge, and that knowledge is light. So let's look at a few very short examples. When you eat a meal you love, and the deep gratitude emanates from within you towards your Creator, that is knowledge, that is light. When you look at the marvels of nature and are in awe of its Creator, that is knowledge, that is light. When you experience true love of all types, be it parental, in relationships, in friendships, and recognize that it comes from your Creator, that is knowledge, that is light. And when someone helps you in time of need, critical need, and you know this help came from your Creator, that is knowledge, that is light. When you experience inner happiness from your interests, your arts, your passions, you know that it's a blessing from your Creator. That is knowledge, that is light. When you engage in deep intellectual inquiry, in science, medicine, philosophy, which leads you to the conclusion that there is a greater intelligence beyond us, that is knowledge, that is light. So experiences lead you to recognizing the extraordinary in everything, in the ordinary. And the reflection or awareness that tells you that it is a blessing from your Creator, that is knowledge, that is light. So everyone and everything brings us the gift of experience. So instead of a simple, shallow level of emotional exchange, let us seek to see the light in each other. Hence, I repeat once again what Namaste really means. The God in me bows to the God in you. Now, all these stories and examples of experience and knowledge can be achieved using our knowledge faculty in our superconscious mind. And because its role is to enable the soul to grow from light upon light until its journey is fully accomplished. In last week's meditation, we practiced at the level of oneness the attribute of our Creator, which was the most intelligent. It helped us engage with the faculty of infinite intelligence in the superconsciousness. In today's meditation, we will focus on another attribute of our Creator, which is the all-knowing in our oneness level meditation. The all-knowing. And that will enable us to engage with the knowledge faculty. Then we will move to linkage, where we can practice the linkage word you have chosen or been given, like always. Now in next week's class, we will learn about the thought faculty. Another fascinating one, truly fascinating one. And today, at the end of the meditation, those of you who would like to stay on to share in what I understand from the second vision, which was put on the website last week, and please stay on for another 10 minutes, and we can go through it. And I will simply throw food for thought at you, and then you take it and work with it as you wish. So now, let's prepare to do our meditation. So let's sit back, relax, dim your lights, and breathe freely. Breathe completely freely. Relax. Let go of everything, all your tensions, all your worries, everything. Be at complete peace. Complete peace. Detach yourself from everything, from the world, from the past, from the future, because you're taking a journey of peace. You're taking a journey of exploring at a much higher level. Breathe freely. I'd like you to imagine that you're standing on top of a mountain. The sky is blue, the grass is green. It's a beautiful day. There's little flowers in the fields, there's birds in the sky. The sun is shining, and as it shines, its rays break up and come and touch and kiss the dewdrops on the grass. It's morning, and it's the sunrise, and the atmosphere is so vibrant. Take a moment and look at this mountain. Look at your surroundings, the deep blue sky, the rays of the sun as they break up and touch and kiss the grass and the dewdrops which sparkle in them. Beautiful, vibrant, peaceful scene. Very peaceful. And then in front of you, you see a ray of the sun reaching the grass, the few dewdrops sparkling in it, and you decide you want to step into it. So you walk over and step into the ray, and all you can see now is light. The light of the ray, light of love. All you can see now is light, and you're in the ray. And you start rising up the ray towards its source. And you rise up nice and slow. And as you look below you, you see the earth, the mountain, the green field beginning to become smaller and smaller and smaller until you see it no more. And you're journeying up the ray towards its source, toward its parent. And you keep rising in the light until you finally reach the source of the ray and step into it. You step into the bright, warm, loving light. This light flows through your being, surrounds you. Every cell in your body is filled with this light. This is the light of love, the light of creation, the light of knowledge. And you are one with this light. You are one with your source. And in the presence of the light, you repeat the words, oneness. 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 You are one with the light. You're one with your source. You're one with all creation. Oneness. 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 Keep repeating this word slowly in the light. Oneness. Oneness. And in the presence of this light, which has filled your being, which has filled your surrounding, you repeat the attribute of our Creator, which is the all-knowing. The all-knowing. The all-knowing. Keep repeating this attribute, nice and slow, in the oneness. The all-knowing. The all-knowing. The all-knowing. And now you repeat the word knowledge. 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 Keep repeating this word in the oneness with the attribute of the all-knowing. Repeat, knowledge. Knowledge, knowledge, the all-knowing, the all-knowing. Keep repeating the all-knowing for a couple of moments. The all-knowing. And now it is time to move forward into linkage. And you let go of all control. Surrender everything into the hands of your Creator. Surrender. 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 And you see this parental loving hand which you take like the baby, trusting fully that you will be guided. You will be guided towards your destination. Surrender. Surrender. And then in the light you see before you a rose whose petals are glowing, and each petal has the name, has the word of your linkage word written on it. This is the word you have chosen for your source, your Creator. This is the word you have been given. And it is written on every petal as this loving hand places you in the middle of the rose, still holding your hand. And the rose begins to close all around you and becomes a bud. And you are in the light, filled with light, surrounded by your linkage word. The word is flowing through you as you repeat it in your mind slowly. I will use origin. You will use your word. Origin. 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 Take some time and repeat your linkage word nice and slowly in the light. origin, origin. We will now take a few moments and in our meditation remember all those who are unwell, who are in pain, sick, suffering from all illnesses, physical, mental, emotional. With the power of the oneness, let's connect with them all and repeat in our minds, heal in the name of the light. And you can replace the word light with whatever name you choose for your Creator. Heal in the name of the light. Heal in the name of the light. And let this energy of healing flow from you to all those in need, giving them a spark of healing, helping them get well, helping them cope with pain, suffering, misery. Heal in the name of the light. Take a few moments and send your light of healing to all. Bless them with that light. Heal in the name of the light. Heal in the name of light. Heal in the name of the light. As the light of healing flows through your own being too, healing every cell in your body, every thought in your mind, healing you completely too as you share your energy and your prayer of healing with all. Heal in the name of light. Heal in the name of the light. And let us now offer our deepest gratitude to our Creator for the blessings of light, of knowledge, abundance, love, family, peace, the blessings of this nature, the earth, the wind, the clean air, clean water, clean earth. Let's offer our deepest, deepest gratitude, 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 gratitude for everything, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And let our gratitude flow to all beings and to all universes. Gratitude. And now it is time to go back into the ray. In the light, you step into the ray and you begin to come down the ray. All you can see is light. And while you were in the source, in oneness, you connected with your knowledge faculty, with the all-knowing, with knowledge. You sought your source, your Creator in linkage. You sent blessings and light of healing to all, and healed yourself too, and offered deepest gratitude. Gratitude for everything. And you're descending down the ray, and as you look below, you can see the mountain becoming larger and larger until you finally land on the grass with its dewdrops and step out of the ray. And you're back in that beautiful mountain with the blue skies and the green grass and the flowers and the birds. You're back, having brought back so much with you from the light. And you may open your eyes whenever you're ready. That was truly, truly special. And I would like to thank you all for being here, for bringing your light, for bringing your love, and sharing it with us all in this meditation, for reaching out to all who are unwell, for offering gratitude and reaching out to the universes with our deepest gratitude from our souls. And I offer my gratitude to you all. Stay blessed. Those of you who look forward to being with us tomorrow, I look forward to sharing some very interesting class on detachment and fear. And those who would like to stay on, please do, and we will go through the vision of the oyster for a few minutes. And those who are leaving us, stay blessed, stay safe, and may the light of the Creator always be with you to help you, guide you, protect you, and love you. So now we come to vision number 2, which is written up in the Masterclass 10 folder on the website, and it's about the oyster. And the vision says that I'm standing in a crystal clear pool of water, which reaches up to my knees. The sky is clear and deep blue in color amidst the bright morning sunshine. Before me is a rock, its tip jutting out of the water. And resting on it is an oyster, with its shell open like a jewelry box. In the middle of the oyster is a beautiful white pearl that shines radiantly in the sunshine. I walk over, carefully pick up the pearl, and bring it closer to my eyes, gradually taking in its luminous but tender radiance. I close my eyes for a moment and see the pearl falling from my hand into the water, giving off a tiny ripple the size of the pearl. And as soon as it touches the surface of the water, this ripple has formed. The pearl instantly disappears into the bosom of the pool, but the ripple keeps growing larger and larger until the whole pool becomes one large ripple that continues to spread beyond its shores and onto the land. It is unstoppable and soon covers the entire earth and continues to rapidly expand into the universe. Mystified by the power of this endless ripple, I open my eyes, and thankfully, I am greeted by the familiar light of the pearl which is still in my hand. Anxious not to drop it into the water, I walk over to the rock and respectfully place it back into the oyster. A moment later, the oyster closes and disappears with the rock under the water. So that's the vision. Now here are some questions to ponder. Why is the oyster open when I first see it? So my understanding is that I am viewing this oyster and the pearl from my superconscious mind. And the pearl represents the light faculty, which is surrounded by infinite intelligence. So that's why the oyster is open and I can see the pearl. Also, the oyster is open because it symbolizes the soul at the 7th stage of the 10 stages of the journey of the soul. The 7th stage, which is the stage of paradise, because it can see the ocean, which is symbolized by the water I'm standing in. Hence, the shell is open. At the 7th stage, you can see the ocean. You are the droplet who is now ready to become the river, who is ready to merge into the ocean, but you haven't yet. You can see it. Same way this pearl can see the ocean in front of it, because this pearl is at the 7th stage. What does the tender brilliance of the pearl symbolize? It is the light of knowledge, which is gentle and yet powerful. The level of knowledge of a soul at the 7th stage, at the level of paradise, is very high, but it is still incomplete. Why are my eyes not dazzled by its radiance? The light of knowledge is a deeply humble light. It's very deeply humble in nature. It does not dazzle the eyes. Why do I perceive the pearl falling from my hand? It is the unfolding of the 10th stage of the journey of the soul, where the soul is seeking to merge into the ocean and reach a state of totality. So when that pearl drops from my hand and is absorbed into the bosom of the water, that is the 10th stage. So the soul has chosen to progress from the 7th stage to its final destination. And this vision is a glimpse for the soul for what lies ahead of it. What is this pool that so readily absorbs the pearl into its bosom? It is the source, the ultimate totality, the ocean, as we call it in the 10 stages of the soul. Why is the tiny ripple that forms, what is the tiny ripple that forms as soon as the pearl touches the water? The tiny ripple is the infinite intelligence that surrounds the light faculty, the soul, the pearl. So the infinite intelligence, as we talked about last week, surrounds the light of the soul, the pearl. Why is the ripple spreading so fast? Because as the soul seeks to merge into its source, beyond the 10th stage, it goes through the final 66 steps in preparation for crossing the door of light, from where it has no more any identity. It becomes one. So the climb up the 66 steps is represented by the growth of the ripple with each step. So what makes the ripple encompass the landmass of the earth? Why does it spread so rapidly into the universe? Where does it end up? As the soul ascends the 66 steps towards complete annihilation, mukti, union, fanafi Allah. So as it ascends the 66 steps towards that complete final stage behind the door, the infinite intelligence also expands into pure infinity, where it too becomes the infinite source. So by the time the soul has ascended the 66 steps, so in the infinite intelligence has also become one, as has the light of the soul merged into its creator. So why does the oyster shell close as soon as I return the pearl? So having committed to its journey through stages 8, 9, and 10, 8th being the most difficult, with the river merging into the ocean, it must revert to its present state of semi-perfection and continue its path of gaining knowledge, overcoming conflict, gaining harmony, merging into the ocean. And so that's why the oyster shell closes for the pearl to return to its journey. And why does the oyster and the rock disappear under the water? Because the soul reverts to its cradle, which is the oyster, which is the superconsciousness, to continue its journey, immersed in its source, like we all are, but not merged. Remember, you are the fish that swims in the water, and yet it is water that you seek. So you can then contemplate any other questions you may wish with this contemplation. Those of you who wish to share your own interpretations for the benefits of others, please email them to us, and we will actually put together something where everyone's contemplations can be shared. And this week's contemplation, the vision, the third vision, is the rainbow. Now it is on the website, so please go into Masterclass 11, read through it, and contemplate it through the week, because it's a very beautiful vision. And it is where I'm standing in a beautiful garden with lush green lawn flanked by trees and flowers. Above me, I see a majestic rainbow that traverses the deep blue sky, firmly anchored to the earth at both ends. A few moments later, I witness the rare spectacle of each color of the rainbow gently breaking away from the rainbow and forming a radiant circle. The rainbow has now been replaced by 7 circles of the 7 colors, with rich hues of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The blue and indigo circles come down to earth from the sky and find their home in the oceans. The green and orange circles follow suit and inhabit the landmass of the earth. The red, yellow, and violet circles rise higher into the skies and into the universes, because their abode is the universes. And on the lawn before me stands an easel, and on it is a large white canvas with the title Oneness written at its bottom. In front of the canvas appears an artist dressed in white with a brush that can pick up the colors of each of the 7 circles that reside in the oceans, landmass, and the universes. So with this brush, the artist can pick up any of the colors from their circle. And this is where the vision ends, because what happens next remains a mystery. And the questions to ponder are: how did the majestic rainbow come to be? Why do the colors of the rainbow take the form of circles? Why do the blue and indigo circles end up in the ocean? Why do the green and orange circles join the landmass? Why do the red, yellow, and violet circles rise from the skies into the universes? And why do the 7 circles find their abodes in the ocean, landmass, and universes? What does the white canvas represent? What is the significance of the title Oneness written at the bottom of the canvas? Who is the artist? Why can the brush draw colors from all 7 circles? What is the painting of oneness going to reveal? And to that, you can add any other questions you wish to contemplate. So we will cover the meaning of this after the class next week. I think we've overrun a few minutes. I apologize for that. But it was an important message for us today, and the meditation, to open ourselves to our knowledge faculty with a full understanding of experience, knowledge, and light. Let's take a few moments and take a few questions. So, Tosin, over to you.
Thank you for that, by the way. That was really, really powerful and insightful. Thank you for that experience.
You're welcome.
We say here, somebody says, I love what you teach, and I have followed Anita Murjani as well. I am wondering if the accident in Kashmir that you talked about, would you say that you had a near-death experience, or have you had this experience at any other time in your life? Thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I think what happened to me in Kashmir was a transformation. I wouldn't call it a near-death experience because I wasn't at the finishing line. I didn't see, the end point of my material journey. What happened with me was time stood still, and I simply got placed on the side of the road, very aware of what was happening in those moments of stillness. And these hands that placed me on the side of the road were not real hands, but they were the energy with which a mother holds her baby. So it wasn't a near-death experience, but I had been blessed with those moments in pure stillness, in pure love, motherly love, interestingly enough, maternal love. And that opened something up in my being where all the dimensions of me that had never expressed themselves in my life until that day opened up and began to express themselves. I used to be a very fast-paced, successful, executive, my way or the highway type of guy. And this showed me that, hey, this is not what you are. This is not what you're supposed to be. This is not why you're in this world. There is no my way. It's all our way. So see oneness, recognize yourself in oneness, and become we. And that opening of my faculties carried me forward in my spiritual journey, where I continued to be inspired with more and more knowledge, which I'm happily sharing with you as we speak today.
We don't have a lot of questions.
Yes.
One that's come up here just says, how does one recognize one's ego is at play?
That's very interesting. Ego is a very powerful force that resides within us. And ego is something that expresses itself either in a positive way or in a very negative way. Now, in a positive way, ego expresses itself as confidence, but overconfidence or condescending view of others is the negative side of ego. The way you monitor your ego is to monitor the manner in which you think and conduct yourself. If you begin to look at how you behave with people, you begin to look at the reactions people are giving you. And if they're giving you reactions that are subservient, that are giving in to you, that are praising you a lot, first red light goes on. This is ego. If you've gone away from a sense of neutrality and now are basking in the center of your own self, your own little show, and all the audience is clapping at you, it's your ego. Because if you were outside of your ego, you would not be seeking that applause. You see, we create what people become around us. And that's also, your question actually preempts the class today. But we create what people become. And therefore, the way we project ourselves with them is the way they project themselves back to us. So ego is not difficult to find. And praise, people saying you're the best thing since sliced bread, that's really not a good thing to hear. People talking about you in a reverent way in your presence. If they talk behind your back, it's another matter. These are all signs of ego. And if we consciously decide we're going to let ego go and cut the cord with ego with the scissors of light I taught you about in one of the earlier master classes, and tomorrow, the theme for tomorrow's class is a refresher on detachment. But I'm going to go into a lot more detail on detachment. But there again, the scissors come in very handy. So the scissors of light, you can cut ego, and you can find that if your state of being is neutral, rather than from elations to anger to hearing what people say and suddenly getting massive emotional reactions, if you don't feel any of those things, then your ego is at rest. Because egoistic people get very easily, they are very thin-skinned, very thin-skinned. You have to say the smallest of thing to hurt their ego and bingo. And yet they are the weakest of people, because if you stroke that ego, they will do anything. So I think that, I hope I have answered your question.
Next question. Even if we recognize that people say nice things to get their work done, but you still do it, how can you learn to say no to them and keep their thoughts, keep the thought foremost in your mind that they need you to do something?
Well, I mean, if people say nice things to get you to do something, you know they're using the age-old tool of flattery. But you don't fall for it. If you don't want to do it, there is nice ways to say no. And I find the best way to say no is to take a few moments and say, let me help you figure it out for yourself. Let me help you look at it this way so you can carry on. Rather than me taking on the exercise, let me help you a little bit along the way so you can get into the race and run. That's a nice way of saying no. Once you say that, they can't say, can you do it? Because then you say, well, you have all the whatever reasons you have, you say it. But there's a sweet way of saying no, and there's a blunt way of saying no. I would choose the sweeter way because it's more empowering for the people, even though they may be trying to manipulate you. And this world is like that. We're in this playground, we're in this marketplace. Manipulation is everywhere. But if we are conscious, then we navigate ourselves accordingly. But with kindness, in an empowering way. Everything we do with people should empower them in a good way.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Somebody just saying, thank you, Amyn. All praises are due to God. They're just thanking you there. So.
That's such a beautiful phrase, and it's recited in so many religions all the time. And how often do we think there's a big guy out there who loves to be praised? But really what it's saying is, praise the God that is present, praise the God that you see in the one in front of you. Because what have you done? You become humble. And when you praise that God, that light that is before you, you have praised God. So it's actually, it creates a very positive and enriching mindset.
One more question. Do you believe in the concept of the evil eye or the power another person's energy or vibration has on you due to envy or another reason? And the person is asking due to Kumar's story.
Yeah. I mean, look, there is positive energy and there's negative energy. Envy is a negative energy because the people who envy you covet what you have. And they feel a void within themselves, which hurts them because they don't have what you have. Now, I'm not a believer of, people with evil eyes and succumbing to evil eyes, because I believe that's entirely up to you. If you are a being of light, darkness is not going to touch you. If you are scared and fearful and you think that the evil eye can reach you or that negative energy can reach you, be sure it will. So we are the creators of what occurs or the way people are in front of us, like in Kumar's story. So if we are fearful, then that negative energy will pierce us. And we will think, oh, it's some kind of magic. No, it's not. You just opened yourself. You can open yourself to receive positive light and love, and you can open yourself through fear to receive negativity.
The question here is saying, how can we control what others say about us? Why would, if someone says something, positive, be a reflection of our ego?
No, I didn't mean anything positive be a reflection of our ego. But if you do something, it was a way of detecting ego. If everybody around you is subservient and they do exactly as you say, if everybody around you is flattering you all the time, you got to be smart enough to see it. Okay? So those are signs of the ego, but that doesn't mean if someone says something positive about you, it's the ego, because maybe you deserve to hear it. But I'll tell you what, in this world, not everybody says positive things about you all the time. That's the difference. It's the all the time part. And what it does to you, how it strokes you. And, do you go out of your way to make people say positive things about you? If you do, then it's your ego. So it's a very fine, it's a very personal thing. There's no hard and fast rule, but it's definitely something we have to work with.
Cool. Somebody says, yeah, for those of us who have a linkage word or use a linkage word, is it okay so that we can use this linkage word in these exercises of state of being and the flow and other parts of your meditation walkthrough? Because during your sessions, I have been closing my eyes, relaxing, and saying my linkage word while you are speaking, as well as throughout your meditation exercises from beginning to end.
Perfect. There's no restriction to when you engage your linkage word, it's yours. And if you have a way of using it and it works for you, that's fantastic. These techniques that, especially in the first 5 classes which I shared, was to prepare us for a very deep focus. But you may already be there. So this is why maybe you're taking on board the lessons, but you're engaging directly with your linkage word. And of course, your linkage word is the most powerful of all. So if it's carrying you through and preparing for your focus also with your linkage word, if that works for you, then that's really good. I think that's wonderful. That means that your linkage word is deeply embedded in you. But a lot of us require the practice of going still, the practice of reaching the stage of clarity, detaching from the world, the past, and the future, rising into oneness, and then from there, engaging with the linkage word. By the time we reach that point, our focus will stay set on the linkage word for much longer periods than if we didn't prepare. But it doesn't mean it's the same for everyone. So again, I would say meditation is a journey of freedom, and whatever works for you, golden, do it. So I think we should.
Have one more question to start?
Yeah, we should. One more question and then we should start.
Can I send the healing to other people and our loved ones, is what they're asking.
Absolutely, and please, you should. Because this healing, when you go into a state of oneness and you send healing to people, because we are all one and connected, it doesn't matter whether your loved one is 5,000 miles away, your healing reaches. And, I find every day I spend a fair bit of time seeking healing for a lot of people who have asked for assistance, but as well as for people who I don't know, who are suffering from all kinds of illnesses. But in that oneness, the single thought of healing reaches everything. So yes, please. And that service you offer to making things better for others is a huge blessing. Is a huge blessing, and it'll come back to you so manyfold in your own well-being.
Another question was, can anchor thoughts help us with our physical well-being or state? For example, if we have a physical pain, like a back pain, can we use anchor thoughts?
Yes, indeed. Because now there are 2 types of anchor thought you could use. And the first anchor thought is going to be one of healing. So when you anchor yourself in healing, and you say, I am healing, and then you say, healing flows to me, healing flows through me, healing flows from me, and therefore you complete the circle of healing and you make yourself part of the circle of healing, you're going to find that actually your body is going to respond very positively, in a subliminal way, but very positively to this healing. So that's part one. Part two is when you're feeling a lot of pain. I think, like, I know that when I had my, when they messed up my surgery in New York, and they put the needle through my spine, right through the durals, and I had a spinal hematoma that nearly claimed my life. I could not even take painkillers anymore. After the first few days, I didn't take them because my son told me these are narcotics, and I said I'm not going to accept narcotics. So I would go into a meditative state where internally I anchor myself in being above pain. Okay, I am above pain. Okay, so I, in my mind, focused completely on the fact that pain is not going to, it will reach me, but it will not impact me. And so rising above pain, and then after that, I had to spend almost 3 weeks in hospital. My liver was failing, so they couldn't give me any more drugs. And there again, meditation and anchor thought helped me through that period without being drugged. So yes, go into the circle of healing, the meditation of flow. And secondly, go into a state where you rise above pain. And what you do is you engage in oneness with your Creator, you seek strength, and then you anchor yourself in being above pain. It doesn't mean you won't feel anything, but it won't hit you the way it normally would if you feared it and succumbed to it. The same pain can have different effects on different people depending on how we approach it. Now, pain is a good thing. I mean, pain is your best friend in a way because it's your body's way of telling you something is wrong. If we didn't feel pain, we would disintegrate. So we can't look at pain as a... But when I was in hospital, we had a consultant who would come and talk to me about pain management. Okay, fine, that's good. But my method of managing pain was not to take more chemicals. It was to place myself above it, to place myself in the hands of my Creator. Ask Him for healing, place myself there, and place myself above material level pain. Because pain is a material level phenomenon. It's in the brain. When you go into superconsciousness, it's nothing. It doesn't exist. And so literally for 3 to 4 weeks, I lived in superconsciousness rather than consciousness. And that's how I've been able to do it. I think we can all do it. One of the reasons I'm doing these classes is to try, while I'm in this world, to share and impart this knowledge. And for those who take it on board, in whatever form makes sense to you, and work with it, and it helps you, my purpose is fulfilled. So with that, I wish you a great week ahead. Inshallah, see many of you tomorrow. And we look forward to connecting with you again next Saturday, same time, where we will do the thought faculty. And on Sunday, we will do the third part of the masterclass refreshers, which will be to do with oneness. So stay blessed and see you all again very soon. Thank you.